Hello and welcome. In this video, I will be discussing my first impressions for the critically acclaimed sequel to Path of Exile by Grinding Gear Games, the early access edition of PoE2. So I just want to first go into this with a brief introduction on who I am and why my review is worth listening to. I am multi first place race winning Path of Exile 1 enjoyer who has always had a soft spot in my heart for action RPG games. Growing up in high school, I played Diablo 2, Lord of Destruction with my classmates and friends, and actually made friends from that game. And I've just always been interested in games that you could sink a lot of time into that have these deep grinding and character progression systems and a tight knit trading community. And yeah, I'm so far. My first impressions, to sum it up, would be that I am greatly enjoying Path of Exile 2. I think it might be the one of the first ARPGs that has mastered the entire game being the end game. I wasn't bored for a single moment during the campaign, and I'm now somewhat deep into the end game mapping system. So far, there's been very minimal bugs for an early access game. There is one thing I would like to offer as constructive criticism to GGG, and that is there's too many tight corridors that don't interact well with the rolling mechanic, and I hope that they widen some of the pathways in a lot of the endgame maps, and specifically in Act 2, when you're on the Dreadnought near the end of Act 2. A couple nitpicking suggestions towards them, but overall, the graphics are absolutely beautiful. Very, very well designed sound, and performance-wise, I'm playing on PC with a 3090 Ti Intel chip, 32 gigs of RAM, and my PC is running pretty hot, and I have to run it at a custom resolution because of how my monitor's set up. But it's running pretty well. I've only had one or two crashes when entering certain maps, and yeah, it's been pretty clean for an early access. I was expecting a lot more crashes, a lot more server issues. Stability wise, it's a very playable game, depending on your system, of course. The evolution of the core gameplay is that the dodge roll really adds this sense of like the bosses are designed so you have to play very well, or you have to overgear and overlevel them. And I really enjoyed my experience in the campaign. I started on hardcore and I died pretty early on in my first character and re-rolled to a ranged class because I don't know how they can make melee better, and I could see that they really did attempt to do so. However, there's just something about melee. There's just too many times where I got surrounded and not having an option to like attack and run easily, and like most of the melee attacks I wanted to try and use were just too delayed and janky. So I do think that they need to have a lot of work cut out for them on making the fluidity of melee play better, but I am really enjoying my Deadeye range class so far, and I've seen some pretty interesting builds with the casters that I want to try as well. The loot in the game feels really good. Like checking vendors is exciting every time you level up during the campaign because they almost always have something useful. And as well, every single currency item you find feels good. The exalted orbs, the regal orbs, all that stuff, it's nice to grab and have a stockpile of it to either trade for good items or to craft your own. The finding rare items and identifying them actually feels good, unlike in PoE1 after like the first day of mapping. Like I want to ID every single rare item that I find, which is really addicting. And I just truly think that this is like, based on my first impressions, a true magnum opus 10 out of 10 game. And most of the people who are on like Reddit and YouTube and all that stuff crying about the difficulty of the game just need to get good. Like I'm approaching 40 and I was hit by a car a couple years ago and I have a perforated lung, extremely damaged wrists and terrible vision due to a premature birth, and I'm definitely not at any advantage in skill and inherent ability when it comes to playing these kind of games. My reaction time is a lot slower since I got hit by the car, and I have died a fair bit, but I've learned something from every death, and the game is not as hard as people are saying it is. Now, there is some stuff that needs some adjusting. When you're doing the ascendancy trials, those are definitely a bit ridiculous. Like you lose too much honor, even with relics that I had that would increase my total maximum honor and increase the amount of honor I replenished and had honor resistance, so I lost less when I took damage. It's just too easy to fail that third ascendancy. So they definitely need to do something about that. I'm guessing it was not very play tested because the third ascendancy is a bit ridiculous. I haven't even tried the fourth one yet. But in the ultimatum ascendancy, it is kind of annoying how RNG it is. Some of the effects that you get that change the way the run goes can like basically just brick the entire run, and then you have to find another one to run it after the first two. So there is definitely some stuff that is overtuned, but it is early access, and you can just tell that some of the stuff hasn't been fully play tested, or they just there's some tools in the game that haven't been added yet that would make it easier. Movement speed, like base movement speed, feels just a tiny bit too slow considering how large some of the zones are. You are rewarded for fully exploring each zone, so I understand why they have made us a little bit slow, so that we can't just like easily find everything. And a lot of the stuff, it does seem deliberate, like the decisions they made. Combat does feel pretty good. It feels satisfying to launch these gas grenades and then explode them with the fire. Lightning arrow felt okay as well, but I might just need a better bow to make that fully work. I can see the potential with the new Atlas system, and the end game does feel like it's going to pop off, but it's a bit undercooked at the moment. I'm still addicted and can't wait to jump back into maps and play more. The storytelling and the campaign, without getting into any spoilers, I thought it was pretty well done. It was a pretty decent. I just enjoy the gameplay mostly of the campaign, but I just really hope that PoE2 maintains its identity while evolving, and kind of GGG doesn't fully cater to all these complete clown bozos that are on Reddit making threads about how the game's too hard and to give us more loot and all that stuff. Like, you know, if you really want an easy game where you can just turn your brain off and literally fall asleep and probably still complete the dungeon run that you're in, you can just go play Diablo 4. PoE2 is its own thing, and it's a beautiful game where every single boss that you beat feels satisfying to overcome. It is masterfully crafted so that each fight, depending on the build that you're playing, is definitely doable with the gear and the tools that you've acquired at that point in the campaign, assuming you've explored and not just fully rush to the boss and are like under leveled. Like I was basically 2 levels above the zone that I was in the whole time going through the campaign without even like trying to over farm. Most of the time, the only time I would be over farming is if I died and I had to fully re-clear the zone up to the point that I was at. There could be some more checkpoints in some of the zones that are larger, and they've already added more. Like they're already patching the game. They've already done a big patch, which is why I know that a lot of the stuff that is pissing people off, quality of life and polish, is gonna come with time. It's in early access, guys. We need to chill out. I just hope like GGG, please don't make the game too easy. It's so fun right now the way it's designed, and I am so ready to just go through the campaign again. People crying about the campaign taking too long, like you need to just rethink what PoE is. The whole game is the end game. Like getting your character from 1 to maps is no longer something you shouldn't care about. Every single moment of the game, you are playing the end game. The bosses are perfect. There is definitely some small things that should be changed. Like some of the boss platforms are too small, and we are getting like stuck on some of the bosses that are really big, that are like in the ground and trying to run around them. I'm sure that stuff's all gonna get fixed. The hitboxes are a bit off on some of them, but thinking about it like with the grain of salt that it is early access, I think this game is so much, it offers you so much more for your $30, considering how much it's going to grow from the point that it's at right now. It's only going to get better, assuming that they don't go in the direction of catering to these absolute clowns. Like you guys that are crying that the game is too hard, like bro, have you even tried to like make your build better? Like, have you done a couple, like, if you're really struggling, you can always do a couple extra runs of the zone that you're currently at. You don't just have to rush to the end. Maybe you got unlucky on your run so far and you really don't have the adequate gear. I'm not saying it's impossible, but, like, you could just always do a couple extra runs of the stuff that you're able to kill. Like, I don't know, man. I don't think the game's as hard as people are saying it is. I could see how, like, depending on the build that you're playing, though, it could be. So maybe they just need more time to balance out all the gems and make them a little bit stronger here and there. But please don't just make the game completely face roll. It would make everything irrelevant that you've done so far. Like, I want the game to be hard, and I liked my playthrough of the campaign, and I will be leveling multiple characters. It is fun to be challenged and to actually have bosses that are interesting to fight and not just like a Tomb Lord Diablo 4 boss where you can literally close your eyes and win. Like, if you want an easy game where you just blast and blow up the entire screen instantly and don't think about anything and all the loot is meaningless because you're already one-shotting everything, then you can go play PoE1 or you can go play Diablo 4. PoE2 is like if Diablo 2 and Elden Ring fused into one game. It is the ultimate ARPG. Like, I am hooked. And I have faith in GGG to fix the bugs and to make rolling feel a little bit less clunky and to maybe give us a tiny bit more movement speed on the tree, because the movement speed is an issue. We are moving a little bit too slow. I'm a dead eye and I still feel slow, but it's just because we don't have the Quicksilver. Like, it feels so weird not having the Quicksilver. But yeah, maybe just give us a little bit more movement speed on the tree, but don't like just make the whole game super easy. I think it's really well done right now, and I'm excited to see where GGG takes it. It's a beautiful game. I give it a 10 out of 10 for an early access. Absolutely recommend that anybody who likes games that challenge you and, you know, are just well done. Like, it's just a great game. And thank you, GGG, for providing us with such an amazing game. And I wish you the best with your journey and continuing to craft and chisel this masterpiece till it's completed. Yeah, thank you for watching. Catch you guys later.